Hi there, I'm Sian Reeves. Welcome to Who Cares? This is a YouTube channel for you, real people and professionals, to discuss caring, a chance to be listened to and to be heard, to share some small victories, some little wins. 600 people a day are leaving their work to become carers. 1 in 5 of us are doing over 50 hours a week of unpaid care, which equals £184 billion a year, which is a whole other unfunded NHS. Who cares? I do. Welcome to Who Cares. Today I'm talking to Bex from London. How are you?
I'm well. How are you?
I'm good. Thank you so much for giving me your time. How is
Pleasure.
your dad?
My dad he's as well as can be expected. He's been pushed from pillar to post since that fall in January. I think he's finally somewhere he feels he just wants to be warm and comfortable. And I think he's finally achieved that. But after he first fell, he decided himself that he wanted to go into a care home. So we rang around a few care homes and obviously nothing was available. And my husband very sweetly said, "Oh, do you think if we pay them more money, they'll give us a bed?" And I said, basically, you'd have to pay them money to euthanize somebody. So possibly not the best laid plan. Anyway, we put our name down with a whole load. And then the first one who said, "Yeah, we can take you," then had to quarantine because they got strep pneumonia. So, well, I guess these things happen because old folk come in and they're not well and people don't realise how unwell they are.
How long did they quarantine for?
I think it's a fortnight and then the powers that be go in and retest.
Good grief.
But it does have to... Go on.
Oh, I'm sorry. How long before your dad being amazingly brave and saying, "This is what I want," was it before you got him into somewhere? And was he well enough to manage living on his own until you got him into somewhere?
Well, so he had lived on his own and never had carers, one-legged at the age of 86 and a half.
Wow.
Ferociously independent and very lucid. So there wasn't really any downtime, simply because he had a fall and he said, "I lay on the floor for 15 minutes and thought, oh, that's not very good. What am I going to do?" So he rallied and didn't tell us. But he called a care home and said, "Can you put me on your list?"
Wow. So that's completely independent, brilliant, proactive behaviour.
Yeah. So we didn't know. He then had the second fall. And because he is a one-legged man, first time and second time, he took off his prosthetic leg to get into bed and fell backwards. And there's nothing to stop him. So he fractured a few vertebrae. So the second time he used his little thing that he has around his neck. He has an alarm. Yeah. So he used that. The ambulance came. He had the wherewithal to ring the neighbour and say, "Come and let them in so they don't knock the door down." He was then in hospital where it didn't go particularly well. I don't think that they were... I mean, the consultant, I'm sure, was lovely, but the nursing staff... He's in his 80s. They couldn't care less. They couldn't care less. And since I spoke to you when we met in the street, I have a lot more to say about how the NHS treat their old people. I'm staggered. Really? But when he was in hospital, so he was literally behind a curtain in a bed for 3 or 4 days. When they first got him into hospital, he arrived 11 o'clock at night. They didn't get him to a bed until 7 a.m., which is shocking if you're you and I.
Yeah, even if you're 60.
Yeah. Then they put him on a ward with 3 other guys. The other guys are all demented and old. But he is lucid. And you would go there and you would see the nurses all sitting around in the corridor in all the sort of chairs, laughing and joking. Take some of that little laughter and jollity to a lucid patient, because you don't have many lucid patients. Why don't you give them a little bit of time? And after he'd been in, so that was actually the second time. So the first time they put him in, so the hospital had like a breakout ward that's connected to a rather sterile nursing home where they don't have any local staff. And my father found it really overwhelming because they're very brusque.
Right.
And they're not very, not very personable. And he did sort of for a while lost about 10-15% of his mental acuity because he was just being treated
So
as
poorly.
not a commodity because, they make money, but just he wasn't treated as a person.
As a person.
Yeah. He wasn't treated badly. He just wasn't treated well. He was just another statistic, I suppose.
Ignored.
Yeah. So
That's terrible.
I managed to, and then they said, right, he's got to go. He's bed blocking. Okay, so let me get this straight. He's got a life-limiting heart condition, pneumonia, and a virus in his blood, but he's not ill. Okay, so I found him a home, which is quite far from the town he lived in. It's about a 35-minute drive. Right. So he wasn't that keen because of the distance and his, few friends being able to come and see him.
Yes.
For us, it's fine because we drive down from London. So another 35 minutes either way, it doesn't make any difference. So he went into this place. He was delighted. He had his own room overlooking beautiful gardens, television that worked. They made homemade cheesecake for tea. He had afternoon tea with half a scone with clotted cream and jam.
Oh, God.
He was so happy. And he'd sit there and he'd be doing all his paperwork because his brother just died and he's the executor.
So he's
the only executor. Yes. So he's dealing with all of that.
Wow.
So he was there. He was very happy. But over the weeks, 2 or 3, I would speak to him on the phone and he'd become less and less able to speak because clearly breathing was a problem.
Oh.
And he had requested on a Saturday night that a GP come.
Yeah.
By Tuesday, the GP hasn't come, but they've sent a prescription.
What? Without looking at him?
Yeah.
That.
So I rang the home and I said, I thought before I go off on one, I'm going to ask, do you have the discharge notes for when my father was discharged from the hospital and brought to you? No, they were never provided.
Why?
I said, okay. Well, because they don't. They're inefficient. I said, okay, he's got pneumonia. He has a life-limiting heart condition. He has a blood problem. If you don't get him to hospital tonight, he will probably die on your watch. And he rang me 2 hours later and he said, I'm in an ambulance.
Oh, my God. Oh, my God, this is terrible. You're paying all this money for the care home and they're not doing basic things.
Well, they are being really nice to him, but they're untrained. They're a carer like you're a carer, like I'm a carer, just someone who cares, not someone who's got knowledge. But I could tell on the phone.
He needed to go to the doctors
he couldn't breathe.
And it had got worse. And he'd been sensible enough to say, I need
ask the
something.
doctor.
Normally, you perhaps as you get older decide to not ask and go, oh, I'm going to be okay with some hot honey. And I don't want to make a fuss. I don't want to go to hospital. So you try and pretend to avoid it, I think. And he was sensible enough to do that. And then they let it get that bad. And how is he now? Is he back out?
Yes, he is. So he was in hospital. And the couple of times I spoke to him, I was really scared. I thought, okay, he's going to die. So we got in the car and we went down to see him. And we went in to see him every day. And he's literally sitting on a chair with his head hanging down, looking at the floor in a gown.
At the hospital?
Yeah.
And I suppose not eating?
No, not eating. So his prosthetic leg doesn't fit anymore. He finally, after resisting for years, a few months ago, got dentures because warfarin has ruined his beautiful teeth, and he's so thin his dentures don't fit.
Oh my
but
God,
they weren't giving him any kind of nutrition, any drips or any drinks, nothing. And they would bring him in a meal, right? And you'd think, yeah, maybe a grizzly bear could chew through that, but a man with no teeth, not happening, really not happening. And all he wanted was a cold lemonade. So I got him some cold lemonade and asked them to put the rest in the fridge. And if they could just give it when he asks, well, it was a bit of a big ask. They did it, but it was a big ask. And they would just be kind of just sitting around, and you just kind of walk straight in. And these old folk, this is the hospital. And the old folk, they've got their effects in the cupboard. They've got their money, their credit cards, their checkbooks. Anybody's just walking in off the street outside of, because nobody's going to come and see old people, so they don't really get involved, do they? But the fact that he was becoming one of those three other men in that ward, it was so upsetting. And then the last day that we saw him, because the first few days he couldn't manage probably more than 15 minutes with a visitor, because he's on oxygen, he's on drips, but nothing nutritious, just saline to keep him hydrated, and possibly antibiotics. Couldn't actually find anybody to tell me. I left a message, 4 days, I left 4 messages for a doctor to call me. Nobody ever did. Then eventually a nurse called me and said so she couldn't speak English. So communicating with her was really difficult. And I'm terribly sorry, I ended up very hostile because I got really frustrated, because she was saying, yeah, we're sending him home. And I'm like, he can't go home. And I'd rung the home and asked him to keep the room. And I said, look, I don't know how long he's in hospital. I'll keep paying, just keep the room, because he's got that security, that sort of safety net, if you will.
So
and because all the girls in the home we ended up in are all kids of, they're all grown up, obviously, 40s and 50s, but kids of people he knew when he had his local petrol business. So he could relate to them all. They were all local. They all knew him and had remembered him from when they were little girls and boys. So he
liked it there.
He likes it there. So when I spoke to this ineffectual nurse who could basically, and she just kept going, is it? And I'm not going to tell you what my response was when she said it for the 3rd time, because you'd have to put this out after 9 o'clock. I nearly lost my reason.
Oh my God. I mean, what
is going on? And then she said, awful. Then she said, shall I get a doctor? And I'm like, oh, that would be really novel. Do you think you could manage that?
Oh my goodness.
So the doctor comes on the phone and I square myself ready for a chat. It's okay. No chat. He couldn't speak English.
And you're in Wales, aren't you, dealing with all this with Daddy?
He is Indian, the doctor, and the nurse was Filipino. But they didn't have enough command of English to be able to make a telephone call. I'm sure they have all the medical knowledge they need, but...
Yeah.
And he said to me, I've met your father for the first time today. He's fine. I'll send him home. I went, so he's been there for a week on oxygen, on drips, not eating, with pneumonia, a blood infection. I've now learnt he's got fluid on his lungs because his heart isn't working, and you think he's fine. Oh, yes, he'd be fine to go home. And I went, well, I'm sorry, but I don't see that. So you're going to need to convince me. Then the woman from the home actually rang me and said, what's going on? And I sort of went, oh, I should have called and I hadn't. And I explained everything. And I said, can you call the hospital? I said, because I'm hysterical and I'm hostile. Yeah. Can you get, and I'm too emotional to even hear anything.
Yes.
Anything positive.
Yeah.
So she rang them. She rang me back. He was sent back there. He's back there. He isn't going to live, but he's not on end of life, and he would like to die there.
So he's not going to ask to go to the hospital again, is he? This has happened really quickly, hasn't it? This last 3 weeks. It's just been...
He was in the home, he was fine, and then he wasn't. And then he wasn't.
But, I mean, fancy not helping him eat. Fancy not giving him some mashed potato or something,
No.
It's just not looking at that person and going, oh, you can't eat very well because of your dentures. Let me get you something soft. All of that. It's just so basic.
I know, but also, I mean, they weren't doing anything for any of the patients. But I do think if somebody is still lucky enough to have full lucidity at 86 and a half, wouldn't you be thrilled as a nurse to be able to have someone you can actually interact with?
Talk to, yeah.
I bet they didn't even know he was lucid. I bet they didn't
even
know.
Bother.
No.
And
this eventually Oh, sorry, go on.
No, I was just going to say, this is what seems to be happening. We do have this amazing emergency service that they get picked up and taken to care, but then you're to the hospital, but then your dad's left on a corridor, it seems, until 7 o'clock in the morning. But then once they get into if you're lucky enough to be in a disastrous state and you go to ICU, that seems to be the best first stop. And then after that, if you go to the ward, it seems to always end in disaster like this. A friend of mine who's lost his sight, they didn't feed him for 4 days because he didn't know that they had put the menu at the side for him to tick. Nobody spoke to him. He didn't tick it, so they thought he was refusing to eat.
Oh my God, I'm stunned.
Isn't that just... I mean, and that's the same probably that happened to your dad. They just didn't even say, do you want anything? Or they didn't help him eat it. It's insane.
Yeah, they seem not to have a personality.
Yeah, or not to be bothered.
So, no, I mean, they assume the individuals coming in have no personality.
Are not people.
But even demented patients
have personality.
And they have moments of lucidity.
They do.
You'd like to be there for that moment. I'd love to be that person who suddenly hears them go, oh, I used to love going to the beach or something.
I hope you're enjoying today's episode of Who Cares with me, Sian Reeves. Let's carry on talking to Bex from London. If you're enjoying listening to Who Cares, please subscribe. And if you want to get in touch and share your story, please do. I'd love to hear from you. But isn't it also that you have a mum or a dad who could be there? You have an auntie or a brother or somebody who could be there in that position. Why are you a nurse? This is shocking, this hospital. Have you like reported
They're trying to close it down. They're trying to close it down. I don't need to give them a reason.
So your daddy's not well at all, but he's back in a place where he likes the people, at least. So the care home isn't the problem here. It's the hospital that has been the problem.
Yes. And the care home, I said to them, look, because you are the only available place, I know that you're not a nursing home. If he becomes ill enough, I will employ a nurse. I will pay for one.
So that you don't have to move him again.
And I wouldn't move him again. And he's not going back to hospital. Absolutely not. But it was just dreadful. Because he said to me yesterday, he said, the funeral director's been in.
What?
I said, what? I said, why? And he went, oh, some old bloke died. Like, okay. So, so he's got his humour.
So he sounds like he's a bit back on the road, do you think?
A little bit. He does feel... I haven't spoken to him today. And yesterday he was too busy, which was quite funny.
I wonder why.
His best friend came to see him and stayed for 2 hours. I do know that. And they just
lovely.
Yeah, they just had lovely old sort of, reminiscences and what have you. Because his mate is about 6 years younger.
Ah, brilliant. So he was able to get tea, get biscuits, all of that sort of thing.
Yeah.
Well, I'm so glad that you're happy with the home and the girls he knows at the home. That is great. But what could you do differently? The fact that you can afford to pay for a nurse, not everybody can afford that.
Exactly.
And the home as well, paying for the home. This is what is so panicking and so frightening about the future is the cost of care and for how long. And
also, I think people take the mickey.
Yeah.
I think some of it is really charged ridiculously high. I mean, if they need specialist equipment and a specialist bed and specialist attention, that's a nursing home. You can understand why that would be expensive because private medical is.
Yes.
And I understand the girls in the care homes and everything, have to be paid and you have to pay overheads and what have you. So, well, you know what? The home my dad is in is about, because of his level of lucidity, I keep saying it, and lack of... So he is as independent as he can be, but he's not dependent enough to warrant the higher rate. So he's about 1,100 a week. But that is, if everybody's at that rate, that is 16,000 a week. Wow, and most people would be paying more because there's 16 rooms.
16 rooms. It doesn't cost 16,000 a week to keep a place open, heated, and food. You wouldn't pay that much in a hotel. You wouldn't pay that much in a hotel. I'd move into a hotel.
At the Ritz.
Well, you would at the Ritz. Oh my God. So, what a journey you've had. It's been very quick, hasn't it, all of this, from him being absolutely fine.
Yeah. But I think I mentioned one time before that my friend's mother-in-law had to go into a home. Again, all the marbles were there, but blind and deaf. So living on her own was very tricky.
Yes.
So obviously it all had to happen quite quickly. They had to take the best available place in Berkshire they could find. And she would ring them and go, they've got me in incontinence pants again. And she'd ask to go to the loo and they'd say they were too busy. And she ended up with a UTI that sent her temporarily bonkers and she was dead in 5 weeks.
Wow. And that's someone not being bothered to lead a perfectly able, well person to the toilet.
Yeah, too busy.
That's how quickly you can deteriorate.
Yeah, 1,600 a week.
Unfair. That is so unfair, isn't it?
But
honestly.
When my dad went back into the home, I said, look, he can't wear his leg.
Because he's lost so much weight.
Yeah. I said, do not, under any circumstances, remove his final dignity and put him in incontinence pants, because I will come and I will take him.
Yeah.
And she said, no problem. I said, just let him have that last remaining dignity. And because he's a man, he can go for a wee in a bottle. I mean, he can have it. So that's much easier than if he was a lady. But still, they have to take him to the loo other times. But I've implored them from the beginning. I've said, do not do that.
No, because that is your final shred of being able to manage and feeding yourself. Oh, God. Oh, what a journey. I mean, a friend of mine's mum was in a nursing home and she went in and she thought she could smell something. And in the cupboard, there was just all her mum's clothes, soiled clothes in a great big bin bag. And she just was like, what's going on here? And they hadn't been bothering. Then they gave up changing her because she didn't have any other clothes. And so then she's into the incontinence pants. I know it's easier for them and they don't have to, but that is not fair. It's not right, is it? Not if you're fine, not if you're well. You don't want someone doing that to you.
No.
You know, just help me go to the toilet.
And it's enough to send you mad.
Yeah. Oh, I mean, is there anything that any tips you could give for anyone going through this sort of mad 5 weeks that you've had? Because you've got your dad's house to sort out now, haven't you?
Yeah.
Luckily, he's with it enough, though, to talk to you about it.
Yeah. But half of the house is in probate because half of it belonged to his brother who just died.
Oh, so this can take like up to 2 years, can't it?
Yeah, so we need to sell the house.
Yes.
But we can't sell the house until probate has gone through on the house.
What is probate exactly? Do you know?
Well, my understanding of probate is when the lawyer goes through all the assets, financial and the chattels, everything that's worth anything, puts it all in a big pot, then applies to the tax people and says, OK, all this money or this worth to all these things is what we've ascertained from John Davis's estate. And then you pay inheritance tax and then you get the probate granted. And then you can, I think, start to pay beneficiaries and sell things off. I mean, I'm simplifying it, but that's my understanding.
And why does it take 2 years? This is why is it?
It should take like 6 months maximum, but I'm on year 4 as an executor on my best friend's will, and it's still going on.
That's insane. So
it's unbelievably inefficient, I cannot tell you. And money just appears in your account. They don't say it's coming, or you get emails about due diligence that you know nothing about, and they just keep coming. And then eventually, because I had various people who could have sent them, like the bank and what have you. So I was emailing everyone going, I've deleted 6 of these, but they keep coming at me like someone's throwing confetti my way. And the lawyer went, oh, yes, they're annoying, aren't they? And I went, yeah, also unsolicited. I didn't know it was coming. oh, well, if you could just fill it out.
What?
And then when monies came through about 18 months, 2 years ago from that estate, the money literally appeared in accounts. We weren't told it was coming. We didn't get a call to check that our bank details were correct. We didn't get a call to check that our names, dates of birth and everything, nothing. Just money appeared.
Wow, and it could be to the wrong person.
Yes.
Oh, it's so stressful. And your dad's dealing with this for his brother as well at the moment. God, that's a lot on his plate. And he knows that he's not very well.
Yeah, well, I'm doing as much of it as I can. And I took his credit card away from him after we paid it off because he doesn't need it. Because he's got all the money he needs, he's got in his checking account. So that's
he's
fine.
all right, yeah.
Oh, yeah, no, he's got enough money to pay for about 3 years of the home. He's fine. He's put all that money there.
Ready.
To do it. Yeah. So I took it and Murray had been and paid off the balance. And then we look at the new credit card statement, new balance. So I ring the company involved and they went, oh, yeah, we think he signed up. I said, you think he signed up to what? Because he was in hospital 8 days before your first payment.
Wow.
Mm-hmm. And they went, well, have you got power of attorney? I said, give me your email address. I'll send it to you now. And I want that money back. And if it doesn't come back in time when we start paying interest, I'll charge you for that as well. It's only 140 quid, but 140 quid
is
from every old person.
That is insane. What are they?
Oh, yeah.
Scam. Oh, my God. It's terrifying, isn't it?
Yeah.
And the amount of extra work this is for you, with your young, your boys, teenagers, and going to uni, you've got all that. No,
it is honestly,
a lot, though.
They're off the books at the moment. They're getting on with it. They're fine, to be fair.
Well, but you still worry, you're still concerned about them. And to put this extra time into hoping your dad's not getting scammed and working out his current account and his bank accounts and the gas and electricity and his water bills and council tax,
All that is direct debit.
So
thankfully.
It all goes.
And also, when we went into his house, he said, go into the cold room, open the filing cabinet, the key is blah, blah, blah. And in that filing cabinet was the most comprehensive death file I've ever seen in my life.
Oh, God, he sounds incredible, your daddy.
And, I mean, literally every bank statement, every contact for every bank account, phone numbers, bank account numbers, special code numbers, because he doesn't do online, he does it all on the phone.
Oh, my God.
But it's actually has prompted Murray, my husband. He's now making his own death file because he just said, this is just great.
Wow.
Whereas
you should launch that as a kind of, this is what we all need to do, because it'd be so helpful.
Yeah. Absolutely. So it was there for his brother, and we've got it for my dad as well.
God.
And one or two little things missing, but in the ground, I mean, when my sister will have to go in to my mother's at the end of the day, it's going to be chaos. Because my mother doesn't know where anything is. She doesn't know what's paid, what's not paid. She's got a house here and she's got a this there and a thing there and a...
Yeah.
It's going to be... I've said, obviously, I'll support my sister, but...
I'll support my sibling.
Well, it's different because I'm not involved in my mother's estate.
Ah, okay. Well, that's okay then, because you've just got your daddy to concentrate on.
And his brother.
And his brother and your uncle. Well, thank you. I mean, if you could think of any more tips, it seems like, the fact that he's able to say, Bex, I want to do this. That's your first, I think the first big thing is whoever looks after him, make them your friend. Make yourselves human in front of them. Not just, it's just another patient. Make that person, ring them up, chat to them. Take them perhaps, box of black magic or whatever. Yeah.
Or a packet of biscuits or something.
Black magic. Do they still sell that?
No, they don't. But in my dad's house, I found an old, heavy cardboard black magic box with a wooden jigsaw in it. So that's what made me think of it. He said, take it. And I said, it would be tricky because there's no picture. But I'll do that on another day. I'll have a go, indeed. So make them your friend. Keep in regular contact with them. Just check in, the people who run the home. risk making a nuisance of yourself till they realise you're not going away and how important it is. But always be nice and cheery. It's easy to cross the line into patronising, but try not to be. And just be warm and gracious, and hopefully you'll get them on side. But that just means that your person might get nice treatment, not that everybody will.
Yes, and that's the sad thing.
Mm-hmm.
Bex, I wish you so much luck going forward with Daddy.
Bless you.
And I'm
Thank you.
glad he's back home in his new home.
Yes.
And thank you for sharing today. Really
Pleasure.
grateful. Thank you.
Thank you.
Take care,
good care.
lovely.
Cheers.
And you. Cheers, lovely. Bye-bye.
Bye.